A sharp Zuckertot opening Sicilian invitation signals an aggressive start in Grand Prix Pluscity Blitz tournament round 4, with Mikhalevski taking on Pantsulaia. Knight f3. On c5. On g3. On g6. Bishop g2. Bishop g7. King castled kingside. Knight c6. On c4. On d6. Knight c3. On e6. On e3. Knight ge7. On d4. King castled kingside. On b3. On b6. Bishop b2. Bishop b7. Queen d2. On takes d4. Knight takes d4. Queen d7. Knight de2. Rook fd8. Rook fd1. Knight e5. On e4. On a6. On a4 it is novelty move. Queen c7. Rook ac1. Knight c8. On h3. Knight d7. King h2. Knight c5. Threatening knight takes b3. Queen c2 played by Mikhalevski. On h5. On h4. Knight d7. Queen d2. Knight e5. King g1. Knight e7. Knight f4. Knight g4. Knight ce2. Queen c5. Threatening queen takes f2 check. Knight d3 played by Mikhalevski. Threatening knight takes c5. Queen c7 played by Pantsulaia. Bishop takes g7. King takes g7. Queen b2 check. On e5. Knight c3. Rook ac8. Bishop h3. Mikhalevski considers playing. On f3. Knight h6. Knight d5. Knight takes d5. On takes d5. Queen e7. Bishop takes c8 and seizes the initiative. Rook b8 played by Pantsulaia. On f3. Threatening pawn takes g4. Knight f6 played by Pantsulaia. King h2. Bishop c8. Bishop takes c8. Rook takes c8. King g2. Queen b7. Knight b4. Knight c6. Threatening knight takes b4. Knight takes c6 played by Mikhalevski. Queen takes c6. Rook d3. Queen c5. Rook cd1. Queen b4. Knight a2. Mikhalevski is preparing to play. Knight takes b4. On g5. On takes g5. Knight g4. Knight takes a6. On b5. On takes b5 and increase their advantage significantly. Queen c5 played by Pantsulaia. Queen d2. Mikhalevski considers playing. Rook takes d6. Rook takes d6. Queen takes d6. On b5. Knight c3 and dominate the board. On b5 played by Pantsulaia. Pantsulaia is preparing to play. On takes c4. On takes c4. Queen takes c4 and put immense pressure on the opponent. On takes b5 played by Mikhalevski. On takes b5. On takes b5. Queen takes b5. On b4. Rook c6. Rook c3. Rook takes c3. Knight takes c3. Queen takes b4. Knight d5. Queen takes d2 check. Rook takes d2. Knight d7. Knight e3. Knight b6. Rook b2. Threatening rook takes b6. Knight a4 played by Pantsulaia. Threatening knight takes b2. Rook b4 played by Mikhalevski. Threatening rook takes a4. Knight c5 played by Pantsulaia. Knight c4. King f6. Rook b2. King e6. Rook a2. Rook c8. Threatening knight takes e4. Knight b6 played by Mikhalevski. Threatening knight takes c8. Rook b8 played by Pantsulaia. Threatening rook takes b6. Knight d5 played by Mikhalevski. On f5. Threatening pawn takes e4. Knight c3 played by Mikhalevski. Rook b3. Threatening rook takes c3. Rook c2 played by Mikhalevski. Pawn takes e4. Pawn takes e4. Knight d3. Pantsulaia might go for Knight e1 check. King g1. Knight takes c2 and dominate the board. King f1 played by Mikhalevski. Knight b4. Threatening knight takes c2. Rook c1 played by Mikhalevski. Rook b2. Rook d1. Knight c2. Rook d3. Knight d4. Knight d5. Rook h2. Knight c7 check. King d7. Threatening king takes c7. Knight d5 played by Mikhalevski. Rook c2. Knight f6 check. King e6. Threatening king takes f6. Knight d5 played by Mikhalevski. Knight c6. King g1. Rook c4. Threatening rook takes e4. Rook e3 played by Mikhalevski. Knight d4. King f2. Knight c2. Threatening knight takes e3. Rook e2 played by Mikhalevski. Knight a3. Rook e3. Knight b5. Rook e2. Knight a7. Rook a2. Knight c6. Threatening rook takes e4. Rook e2 played by Mikhalevski. Knight d8. Knight b6. Threatening knight takes c4. Rook d4 played by Pantsulaia. Knight d5. Knight b7. Knight c7 check. King d7. Take a moment to spot the best move for Mikhalevski. Knight b5 is a strong choice, since Rook c4. Rook e3. Knight c5. King f3. Rook c2. On g4 still Mikhalevski is losing. Let's explore the main variation. King d7. Knight a6. Time to think. Find the best continuation for Pantsulaia. Knight c5 is a strong choice, since knight takes c5 check. Pawn takes c5. King e3. Pawn c4. Rook a2. Rook d3 check. Pantsulaia have small advantage. Let's go to the main variation. Threatening king takes c7. Knight a6 slightly worse move played by Mikhalevski. Rook a4 slightly worse move played by Pantsulaia. Threatening rook takes a6. Rook b2 played by Mikhalevski. King c6. Stop here and find the strongest move for Mikhalevski. Knight b4 check is best move here because King c5. Knight d3 check. King d4. Knight takes e5. King takes e5. Rook takes b7. Still Mikhalevski is losing, shifting to the main line. King c6. Rook c2 check. Slightly worse move played by Mikhalevski. Knight c5. Threatening rook takes a6. Knight takes c5 played by Mikhalevski. Pawn takes c5. King e3. Rook a3 check. King f2. Rook a4. Threatening rook takes e4. King e3 played by Mikhalevski. Pawn c4. Take a moment to spot the best move for Mikhalevski. King e2 is a strong choice since rook b4. Pawn g4. Pawn takes g4. Rook c3. King c5. Rook g3. Still Mikhalevski is losing. Let's proceed to the main game. Pawn c4. Rook f2 could lead to immediate trouble. Played by Mikhalevski. Rook a3 check. King d2. Rook a2 check. King e3. Threatening rook takes a2. Rook takes f2 played by Pantsulaia. King takes f2. King c5. Pause the video and find the best move for Mikhalevski. Pawn g4 is logical continuation as pawn takes g4. King e2. Pawn c3. King e3. Pawn c2. King d2. Still Mikhalevski is losing, shifting to the main game. King c5. Pantsulaia is planning to play pawn c3. King e1. King d4. King d1. King d3. King c1. King takes e4. Pawn g4. Pawn takes g4 and secure a stronghold in the game. King e3 is not the best move played by Mikhalevski. King b4 victory for Pantsulaia. After a hard-fought battle, Mikhalevski resigned, conceding the game.